Cannon blast, musket fire rips through the humid Pennsylvania air. On this field, 50 years earlier, America tore itself apart.
Blue clashed with gray. Over 160,000 men fought for 3 brutal days in July 1863. The casualty count, 51,000, dead, wounded, or missing.
But in July 1913, the sound was different. Not war cries, but train whistles. Not cannon smoke, but cook fire haze.
The Union and Confederate veterans were returning, not as enemies, but as guests, summoned by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
50 years had passed since the climactic battle. For many, it would be their last journey to the hallowed ground.
Over 53,000 men answered the call, Union and Confederate, young recruits then, now grandfathers in their 70s and 80s. They built a massive tent city. Camp Gettysburg spanned hundreds of acres, a logistical marvel of food, shelter, and medical care. Each veteran received a cot, blankets, and 3 meals a day. The former soldiers, used to hardship, appreciated the comforts.
The air buzzed with anticipation. Old men, some limping, some leaning on canes, walked the dusty roads of the camp.
Faded blue uniforms mingled with tattered gray. The symbols of a divided nation now stood side by side. They revisited Culp's Hill, Little Round Top, Devil's Den, places where they fought hand to hand, brothers against brothers. They pointed out positions, relived charges, explained strategies. The battlefield became an open-air classroom of living history. Here, a Union soldier found the spot where his regiment held the line. Over there, a Confederate recalled Pickett's charge. The field of Pickett's charge, where thousands fell, was a central point. Many stood in awe, recalling the horror and the courage. The most powerful scenes unfolded spontaneously. Old adversaries reaching out, shaking hands across the invisible lines of conflict.
Tears flowed freely for fallen comrades, for lost youth, and for the peace that finally settled between them. A Union veteran helped a Confederate climb a stone wall. A former rebel shared his canteen with an old Yankee. They swapped stories, often embellishing, always connecting. The shared experience of battle forged a bond stronger than old loyalties. In one famous moment, Union men reenacted Pickett's charge, only to be met by Confederates offering hands in friendship. President Woodrow Wilson arrived on July 4, 1913. He addressed the assembled veterans, a symbol of the nation's healing. We have found one another again as brothers and comrades, in arms, enemies no longer, but friends and comrades. Wilson spoke of unity, sacrifice, and a future forged from a painful past. His words resonated with the veterans and the country. The High Water Mark Monument, marking the farthest point of Pickett's charge, became a stage for reconciliation. Here, old soldiers clasped hands across the granite, acknowledging a shared history and a unified present. Beyond the formal ceremonies, the camaraderie was evident in small gestures, sharing cigars, playing cards, singing old camp songs. They were the last generation to personally remember the great conflict. The reunion was a final collective act of witness. It taught a nation torn by war how to heal. It showed that forgiveness and understanding could triumph over deep-seated wounds. The monuments of Gettysburg stand as silent sentinels to sacrifice. But in 1913, the veterans themselves were the most powerful memorials. Younger generations watched, absorbed, and documented the event. They carried forward the stories of courage and reconciliation.
The blue and gray would never gather in such numbers again. Time was claiming them, one by one.
Their faces, weathered by years and etched with memory, held the last living connection to a pivotal moment in American history.
The echoes of the great battles still resonated, but now they carried notes of understanding, not just of conflict. The 1913 Gettysburg Reunion demonstrated that a nation could confront its deepest wounds and emerge stronger, more united.
It solidified Gettysburg's place, not just as a battlefield, but as a sacred symbol of American resolve and reconciliation.
As the veterans departed, the trains carried them away, leaving the field quiet once more, but forever changed. The vision of blue and gray, standing shoulder to shoulder, remains a powerful image in the American story. A reminder that even after the deepest divisions, a common humanity can and must prevail. The fields of Gettysburg, once soaked in blood, now held the echoes of peace.